Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 351. Made easy. How you folks doing? I trust you're all doing well, having a great week. We're coming up on the July 4th. Can you believe it? 6 months of the year already gone flying by. Lordy, lordy, where has the time gone? Hey, I want to appreciate you folks. You guys were really busy sending me emails this week. I will do my best to answer your questions in the next podcast. So thanks so much for reaching out. I do appreciate the kind words you folks have been sending. Phil, that was very, very nice what you had to say. And hey, I'm here to do this stuff for you guys, trying to help you move your photography forward. And of course, your visual storytelling, sharing your images to me is incredibly important. So thank you guys all for your support. Like the last many podcasts, this one's being recorded again with Adobe Podcast Beta, which is doing a great job in the sound. The transcript, that AI stuff, I guess, just isn't kicking in yet, but have faith. It will get there, folks. You'll find that written transcript there on the podcast blog post. I want to thank my good friends at Bedford Camera. These guys, you've heard me say it week to week, and lots of you are experiencing it, especially this past week with the pre-order of the new Nikkor 180-600 and the 70-180-2.8. To answer a number of questions, no, I don't planning on getting either one of those lenses. They just don't fit in my kit or my projects. But many of you have reached out to Bedford's and have pre-ordered them, and you're going to love them. So they're there. Bedford's, take care of your service, got the product, got the price. He's got that Moose discount after you check out. Hey, Bedfords.com. Thanks for sponsoring the Moose Podcast. A couple other pieces of business. One, Z8 service advisory had been posted. It has to do with an issue with the lens mounting and dismounting the body, as I understand it. Many folks have asked to reach out about it. There is a very simple to use website to see if your camera body is affected. First, if you are having issues with mounting and dismounting lenses, then you need to go into that website and check it out and follow the simple instructions for free shipping in and back and repair. If you are not experiencing that problem, one or two things. One, first, I am not experiencing that problem. But two, my serial number is on that list as a possible victim of whatever this problem is. Since I'm not having a problem, I'm not sending my camera in. You need to make that call for yourself. But I want you to be aware of that service advisory for the Z8. The other thing is I had one boatload of emails asking what's the difference between the Z9 and the Z8. One digit. One's an 8, one's a 9. Besides that difference, as far as I'm concerned, there's only two things. One, the battery. Two, GPS information. So there is no GPS recording in the Z8. Not a big deal breaker as far as I'm concerned. The battery, the battery's probably going to get you about half the shooting time that the battery in the Z9 provides. When it comes to the file, which is the most important thing, they're both spectacular. When it comes to 20 frames per second, the autofocus, all the rest of the great juicy stuff inside, they're the same. So you really have to ask yourself for your own photography, what you're doing, what problems solves, those things you have to get the photograph you want. I have both the Z8 and the Z9 in my bag. Z9 still my primary camera. I love that size, that weight. I love that feel in my hand. The Z8 does a great job. I've shot a ton with it. It's just not the first camera I reach for. So you have to really, anything else that anybody tells you about the specs, It's that simple, man. It's just the physical size, weight, and the battery. That's it, and GPS. So there's my take on the Z9 versus the Z8. All right, let's get right into the rest of the podcast. Made easy. Now, some of the stuff I have to say, you're going to say, yep, Moose is an older guy, because, yep, I is an older guy. There is no doubt. But I have seen this boatload of stuff lately. Some of it has to do with AI, some of it not with AI. But basically, they keep saying, made easy. Buy my product. Your photography is made easy. Buy my product. Your finishing is made easy. I've had that experience of made easy with lots of things in life. Photography, of course, is one of them. And the problem with, and this is what, the last thing that hit my inbox that was, made easy when it comes to photography was, yeah, it might make it easy, but does it make it worthwhile? Does it make it sustainable? Does it make it something you can grow on? Does it make your photography better? And that's really, as you know from listening to the podcast, it's all about you and your photography and improving it, moving that down the road. And, I'm not, and I never have been one of those guys that, hey, everybody gets a trophy. Yeah, that's to me, especially in photography, not a workable solution because, well, then what do you do tomorrow? If somebody gives you a trophy for your junk today, what are you going to do? Produce more junk tomorrow? And that's often what happened. When it's made easy, where is that learning process? Because that learning process, whether we like it or not, an important part of that learning process is failure, And from that failure, we learn. At least if you're smart, it's if you want to improve, you take what you have learned, those lessons from that failure, and you build upon them. And in this made easy current trend, it seems to be in so many advertisers and so many other educators, the issue is when you make it easy, how do you figure out what failed so you can learn? Do I have any examples? That was the one thing I was worrying about. How would I illustrate my point this week with examples? Because, hey, I don't do anything easy. I never have. If there's a long road, yeah, I'm going to take it and I'm going to stumble and fall a whole lot of times till I get to the end. And then at the end, I will have learned the lessons that travel has, to offer me. And that's probably the only thing I have to offer, except for some very past things that, there's a number of, if you were to think of HDR, there were a number of programs back in the day that would do all the slicing and dicing and blending and stuff of your images. You just had to go to the camera and just made easy, take a couple frames, throw it in the program, and then made easy with a click, you'd have your final photograph. My question is, one, do you still have those programs on your computer? I did go before recording this podcast and look to see if one program that I used to use was even on the market, because I haven't heard about it for eons, and I couldn't find where there was any builds for any current computers I have. So that obviously came and went. And then number two, and really more important, is the images that you did do back in the day with any kind of HDR program. Where are those images now? Are they just kind of languishing on your computer? Do you pull them up? Do you look at them? Have you deleted them? Have you looked at them and go, oh man, Elvis on Velvet did not work? But the advertising did do as it stated. It was made easy, but was it made permanent? Was it made so it survived the test of time? And that's probably my biggest thing with this Made Easy. And I am really tempted to talk about some of the things, and especially the one that caught my attention to actually do this podcast today. But I don't want to, mention names. But man, I was just thinking, it's kind of like when, way back when, people were not getting sharp images because they wouldn't practice their hand holding, which is a basic thing that has to be done. And there was something that came out that was going to make it easy, so you'd always got sharp images. And then, well, it worked for a little bit till somebody, started pushing the boundaries, and then all of a sudden, it didn't work so well. But it was made easy for the moment, but it didn't stick. And that's probably the one thing I want to, warn you when it comes to your photography and most things. When you take that shortcut, when you make it easy, you have, for the moment, succeeded. But if you are a photographer really wanting to push your photographic bounds, constantly growing and becoming better, you know that, man, short-term gains, do not sustain long-term growth. And that's the biggest problem with Made Easy. Now, can you take that Made Easy philosophy and product and turn it upside down and make it work? You bet. I would recommend, there's a couple of things out there that are quote unquote made easy, and you need to experiment with them without me actually naming them. But what I recommend and what I've done in the past is some of those things that intrigue me because I like the end result. And it says, I say to myself, hey, self, that's pretty cool. Now, can we do this in a way that is sustainable, way that I will learn, way that I can incorporate into my photography and see the results and build on it? And that's what I would encourage you to do to many of these quote unquote made easy. Look at that end result, look at the way they do it, but then put it through the old brain pan and say to yourself, how can I make this actually a workable solution that will, survive the test of time and then help me be a better visual storyteller? Because you know that in that process of trying to, I guess you could say, rather than make easy, produce hard, that in that producing the hard route, you might fail. And in that failure is growth because you'll learn from it. Either A, what not to do again, or B, what to do again, but do it the right way. And in that way, you improve your photography. And that is something that, if there's one thread that goes through every single podcast, is to find the solutions for yourself that work for your photography and storytelling that allows you to go out each and every day and become better. And in that process, you have to understand that you'll learn that either A, this lens is the one you want to get, or B, this is the one you want to get. Or conversely, a camera body or a tripod. All of that comes with the process. And when you see that label, made easy, the red flags need to come up. You need to understand that it's either clickbait or it is snake oil or many other things that are going to actually suck up your time without any end product that's just going to leave you mumbling to yourself. So this is one old guy to another, when it said made easy, run. You guys have a great week. Remember, the 4th of July is coming up. If you are into photographing fireworks, it's time now to brush off that tripod, the remote, check out the techniques, make sure the sensor and lens is clean, and get ready because it's just, 10 days away or so, and the fireworks will fly. Have a great week, folks, and remember to make every click your story.